An ASEAN delegation has met Myanmar Army Chief Aung Hlaing in Naypyidaw to discuss pressing issues, including a return to participation in the regional bloc. This is the biggest mission to visit Myanmar since shuttle diplomacy conducted under former ASEAN chair Cambodia 2 years ago. ASEAN Secretary General, that's Kao Kim Hourn, is taking part, as is Special Envoy Alounkeo Kittikhoun in Myanmar for the second time. The bloc's humanitarian arm, represented by its chief Lee Yam-ming, also joining this delegation. Myanmar state media reporting discussions about aid distribution and the conditions Myanmar must meet before it can rejoin ASEAN meetings. Currently, Myanmar's army chief and foreign minister are still banned from attending regional meetings. And when we're joined by our correspondent Leong Waikit. Waikit, we're hearing that a second-time visit for the special envoy, but a first time for ASEAN SecGen. Does this suggest ASEAN itself is taking this even more seriously than before, and therefore this meeting more likely to yield substantial outcomes?
Well, it doesn't say that ASEAN's meeting now with Myanmar Chief Aung Hlaing suggests that it's being more serious. It has always been serious. It is the fact that it has not been able to make a breakthrough to meet Army Chief Aung Hlaing. But I must say that this trip is a game-changer trip because it fits into various moving parts that have the potential to make breakthroughs in 3 areas. 1, aid distribution. 2, meeting of Aung San Suu Kyi. And 3, perhaps having a political dialogue. Now, we know for a fact that Myanmar Army wants aid to flow into the country. They have always been maintaining an open channel with agencies like the UN, International Red Cross, and this time round, aid distribution was also discussed. Now, one of my sources also told me that there are some countries that are willing to fork out money to spend on independent NGOs who are capable of sending aid directly to the Myanmar people without going through channels controlled by the junta. So all in, the sector of aid distribution looks set to be developing in the near future. The second area is Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, remember, not too long ago, the former Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, had met Aung Hlaing online, and then Hun Sen had asked Aung Hlaing for permission to meet Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, that request was denied. But right now in Myanmar, as you said earlier, is Dr. Kao Kim Hourn, the ASEAN Secretary General. Before he took on that position, he was actually a minister working for Hun Sen in Cambodia for several years. So it'll be interesting to see whether Hun Sen's influence and the presence of Kao Kim Hourn in Myanmar, alongside Alounkeo Kittikhoun from Laos, can collectively persuade the Myanmar army to say, hey, let us meet Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, I must also point out that earlier today, the Myanmar local media, Irrawaddy, cited sources saying that Aung San Suu Kyi is now housed in, is now put in a house in Naypyidaw from prison. The sources were very specific. The sources said they've seen a list of groceries that she's requested, and it suggests that she's staying there alone, and there are reportedly about 10 security guards guarding that house. Now, separately, our sources are also telling us that it appears that the junta is preparing Ms. Suu Kyi for meeting external parties. So it remains to be seen whether or not there will be an actual meeting with Ms. Suu Kyi this time round. Now, the third development is political dialogue. Now, in recent months, there have been a flurry of engagement activities on both sides of the spectrum, whether by design or by chance. The Myanmar army has been engaging with people, and so are the opposition National Unity Government. Most recently, they went to Japan. They met Japan officials, and not too long ago, former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra also met some of them. Right smack in the middle of this equation is the ASEAN factor, which has met both sides. So this trip, perhaps, it's timely for the officials to take a step back to see what engagements have been made, what strings can be pulled, and how they can all align towards a political dialogue that involves the Myanmar army as well as all stakeholders, including Aung San Suu Kyi.
So, Waikit, if I can sum that up, so the moving parts, the 3 main things right now: aid distribution, meeting Aung San Suu Kyi, and the ruling military having a dialogue with the opposition. Now, if these moving parts move at the same time in the right way, could we see Aung Hlaing, his administration, his foreign minister returning to taking part fully in ASEAN regional meetings?
Based on what we know now, based on my observations now, the clear answer is no. Because the eyes of ASEAN, there's only one thing the Myanmar military needs to do, and that is to fulfill the 5-point consensus, and it has not been met. In fact, one of the first things is to end violence. In recent days, there have been reports of massacres of villagers being killed by airstrikes or being shot in the head. There are some 30 villages recently that have been shot by Myanmar soldiers in a monastery. So as long as the Myanmar army does not heed the 5-point consensus, they will not get back to the negotiating table. That has not changed. What has changed is the circumstances. The Myanmar army right now is at its perhaps most vulnerable. On the battlefield, they've been losing soldiers, they've been losing territories. On the diplomatic front, they are now trying to ramp up more engagements, hoping to perhaps get support from the international community. But as long as they do not roll out the 5-point consensus, there is no way for now that they'll get back to the ASEAN meetings.
Our thanks, Leong Wai-kit, speaking to us about this latest push by ASEAN to resolve years of post-coup crisis in Myanmar.